views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
To Bello's Fashionistas Home Edition. I am your host, Fleriser Bello. It is a pleasure to have you join us on this beautiful afternoon. We trust that you and your loved ones are well and staying safe. In today's Bello's Fireside Chat conversation, we welcome award-winning entrepreneur, international author, motivational business speaker, founder and CEO of Yo Soy I Am, and Power on Heels Fund. Yo Soy I Am is a professional development and consulting firm guiding individuals and organizations to create an agile thought leaders that can lead in today's changing economy by building on three key areas: culture, leadership, and empowerment. Please join me in welcoming Latina trailblazer and Puerto Riqueña, Ivette Mayo. Yvette, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, Clarissa, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Gracias a Dios. I am so happy to be here with you and your audience and your community, all the way from Houston, Texas.
Yes, Houston, Texas. Tell us, how is Texas nowadays?
You know, we're making it through this era of COVID, is what I keep calling it. We were making our way through it. What can I say? It's staying safe, using good common sense and lots of faith to get us through all of this. So super excited to be here. But most importantly, to share, you know, this idea from this Southern Boricua.
Southern Boricua, wow, salsa. Tell us, Yvette, more about yourself and what it is that you do.
A little back history so you will understand how I got to this place. I'm from a little town called Manatí, Puerto Rico. I'm from a little barriada named El Tamarindo. And I left the United States with my family when my dad was in the Navy, and we left when I was 6 years old. From that point on, we moved to different points of entry with the Navy through Norfolk, Virginia, Key West, Florida, Buffalo, New York, and all these different places. From kindergarten to 7th grade, my brother and I went to 13 different schools. And in each of those communities, we always had to learn how to speak, how to behave, what was a community like? We had to constantly adapt and just kind of get through it so quickly and fast because we didn't know how long we were going to be there. I learned how to adapt to change early. Today, in culture and diversity and inclusion, we call that acculturating and assimilating. Back then, we just called it surviving. So I realized that my life was constantly under change. I always had to adapt to it. And I realized that that wasn't the norm for everyone else. And that became very evident when I joined the corporate space. Because, you know, when you face something, you've just got to adapt to change. And every time you hear the word change in the corporate community, people just, you know, fold their hands and roll their eyes and go, here we go again. And I was the one in the back of the room going, okay, let's do this. Let's go. Ya pa'lante, right? But I realized that a lot of people didn't feel that way. And I think that gave me an advantage in my corporate career. And now I still feel that people still have a hard time dealing with change. And we've seen a lot of that now with this era of COVID that we're in. So Yo Soy I Am was created as a training and consulting firm because in my career with an airline and in banking and all the areas that I became an expert in and had experience in, I realized that I love teaching and I love teaching people to be successful. And so I made sure two things. One, that I help people deal with change and most importantly, help them overcome some of those cultural barriers that they face. Because when we look at things from our cultural filter, we're looking at it from one perspective, our community. But being multicultural and being part of this multicultural marketplace, we have to learn how to adapt and assimilate to others. So that's my area of expertise. I love it. I love sharing my sabor, my culture, my community, but also this unique perspective on how to shift, so we can adapt better to the communities that we want to serve, not just our own communities.
And you said it. And then it's the shift. It's the shift of the mindset. It's the shift of adapting and actually moving forward that really determines where we will end up by the way that we approach changes. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And Just Soy I Am is so empowering. Tell us more about Just Soy I Am.
So after 27 years of leaving my career in the corporate space, I decided that I wanted to have my own business. And so Just Soy I Am was built on helping people and organizations become multicultural in business and leveraging both, all their cultures. Because, for instance, you learn a culture at home, right? You learn a culture in la calle, right? Then when you join a corporation or an institution, they have a culture. And in each one of those communities, you are adapting and changing. It's like a layer, one on top of the other. No one's right, no one's wrong. And I think the challenge that we have is that when we're learning something new or having challenges with something new is because judgment comes into place. So one of the things that I try to do is help people understand that sometimes judgment is your worst enemy as we become more multicultural. And not, it's like, it's a new way. It's not that your old way is wrong. It's just, we're just teaching you how to open. And one of the best examples that I use, and I know it may sound silly, but it helps you, it really brings home the idea. When you're hungry and you open up you want to open up a can of soup, you could, okay, what do I do? Well, if you're lucky, modern times, you just have that pop open and you just pour it in to, the pot and you warm it up, or you're in the microwave, or you pull out one of those hand can openers and you use that. Or you use the electric can opener. And if you don't have any of that, you go the old fashioned way. You get a knife, right? And you grab it and you just hit it and you open it, right? The question is, what got done? What got done was the can was open and you got to eat. How you did it was different. The question I always ask, what was right and what was wrong? And that's where we run into the problem. Culture is like that. It's understanding we have to achieve something and we have different ways of getting there, and appreciation, and there has to be an appreciation for all of that. And so for wherever you come from, whether you're from the Caribbean or South America, you're coming here, yes, you have to adapt to the American way of doing things. And yes, they need some additional awareness of who we are and that we're different too. It's having that awareness and being willing to compromise, but also teach. And I think that's where I really enjoy what I do. I get to teach about who we are and what's great about all of us and how we can incorporate and leverage that into our business, whether it's a local business down the street or a national business. And when I bring this philosophy to either an individual, a small company, or a corporation, it really helps create a stronger culture within the communities. So that turned into not only consulting and training individuals, but it gave me a chance to walk into corporations and take on doing things with their ERG groups and also speaking at some of their events. And I always found that after an event, I had a Latina who would walk up to me and say to me, oh my God, I've never seen a Latina on stage. I've never heard somebody speak to me because I felt like you were speaking to me, because I always felt like no one understood me, that when I shared a joke or shared an idea, it was never well received. And today you really spoke to me. And so I realized that I had a voice, and the voice was carrying and really touching the lives of Latina professionals every time I got on stage or in front of the room.
I worked also in corporate America, and it was something similar because I was probably the second Latina, and assimilating into the diverse group within that corporate America. It was just interesting. But yes, we need to identify with our Latino community within the culture of corporate America. So thank you so much for mentioning that.
And there's strength in who we are, and there's power in all of that. But sometimes what we do is we get emotional, and those hurdles become, they, instead of being positive emotions, they become negative emotions. We get frustrated, we feel like we're misunderstood, and then it leads to things that kind of demotivate us, right? But the reality of it is if we can figure out a better way of understanding and awareness and how to leverage that, then we minimize that and we become more successful. Because even through the lack of motivation and devaluedness that we feel, we're still productive, you know, because somos trabajadora. It's in our DNA to be productive and hardworking, but it doesn't feel good. And, you know, and how we feel is really critical, because that's our greatest motivator, and being happy is really important. And so I hope that you give me a quick chance real quick. And why is happy important? Because I think that's the emotion that people want to feel satisfied with what they're doing, whether it's a corporation, whether it's an individual business owner, or a small, a power solopreneur or a powerpreneur. So that's why I wear polka dots, because polka dots make me happy. It is officially my brand. You will never see me without polka dots. Siempre. Why? Because it's a reminder of what we all want, and that is to be happy. And so that is why Yo Soy I Am is tied to that emotion, because I can't get you to change to do what you need to do until you feel the need to change. And the feeling I want you most to receive is happiness.
How has COVID impacted Latinas and women of color in the workspace?
Yeah, we have some challenges here in terms of how quickly we shut down, how we didn't, and we saw the numbers rise, unfortunately. But you know, we're still trying to get a handle on that. But how did that change? So one thing that did change is that as women of color and Latinas, we suffer from gender pay gap inequity, and we are usually the first ones out the door, and we're also the let go from our jobs first. We get pay cuts and things like that. So I found that early on in COVID, I do coaching as well. I do transitional coaching and business coaching for as part of my business. I started receiving a lot of phone calls from women who lost their jobs, and they realized that going back into their corporate space probably didn't make sense anymore, that it was time for them to start pursuing maybe their own business, or just moving into a different arena altogether, maybe even shifting industries, and they weren't sure. So I've been guiding several women since COVID started in this shift. And what's the next step for them? Not necessarily going back to their corporation, because that's not an opportunity anymore. Or if there is, how can they have greater influence and move into a place where it's more meaningful in their career and in their career path? So COVID has really helped me help individual women, not just a mass group of women, but a lot of Latinas. Listen, I want to do more. I'm capable of more, and I'm ready to make that shift. So I've been doing a lot of that here lately since COVID started, and that's been really rewarding, because I can personally see on a one-on-one basis just how these women are growing, and most importantly, how they feel about what they're trying to achieve. But they feel this personal level of success that they wouldn't have, that COVID, if it wasn't for COVID, they wouldn't be in this place. So it's been a blessing, if anything, for these women. So that's really exciting to watch and see.
We will take a quick break, and when we return, Ms. Mayo will discuss how Power Unhealed Funds has been assisting and encouraging Latinas and women of color unlock their potentials. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Ms. Mayo, what is Power Unhealed Fund, and how has it been assisting Latinas and women of color unlock their full potentials?
Power Unhealed is just been a work of passion for me for the last couple of years. So as I've gotten a chance to meet Latinas all over the country through my speaking and my work as an entrepreneur, I've met amazing women. So I originally created a Facebook page called the Power Unhealed Network. And it was my way of just continuing to connect this group of women who were just finding themselves in isolated, not in communities like themselves. And this was my way of just bringing them together to encourage them and support them and empower them in their place, but most importantly, to connect them to other Latinas in different parts of the country or in different industries similar to themselves. But the whole thing was to create a platform to connect. I had the pleasure in 2017, and I did it from 2015 to 2017 for 2 years, holding local events to network, to bring topics that were related and relevant to things that were happening in the lives of professional Latinas in our community. In 2017, I had an opportunity to be out in California for a women's conference and had the pleasure of bumping in and having a private audience, not once, but twice, with the amazing Dolores Huerta, who is my shero. She's everybody's shero, but she's my personal shero. And I was sharing with her what I was doing with the community, and she said to me, this needs to be a nonprofit. You need to be able to take this to universities and schools and corporations and really get people to support you. I came home from that event and with all this wisdom that she gave me, and I started to pursue that. And I filed in 2017, and in May of 2018, I received my 501(c)(3) status for the Power on Heels Fund. And it is we kicked it officially off in January of 2019. So one of the things that I tell people all the time, si lo quiere, it takes time. How much time are you willing to invest into an idea, into your dream? Whether it's a nonprofit or a business, you have to invest time, but you also have to get some real understanding. So in 2019, the Power on Heels Fund was kicked off with a board and programming and everything, and we had an amazing, successful year. From beginning to end, from February 2019 to November, we had events that impact the lives of 1,200 Latinas in our community. And this was face-to-face events. We had networking events. But most importantly, our social impact is gender pay gap inequity, especially how it impacts women of color, but also, most importantly, Latinas, because we suffer at the greatest inequity of gender pay gap inequity. So we created awareness. We wanted to do all our program on not only how to become, negotiate your salary, how to develop your brand, do things that add value to you as an employee, but as a business owner, a career-minded woman. But also we partner with universities and local learning institutions to help the next generation of Latinas understand that this is a hurdle they have to overcome, and giving them the tools and the access to information that's going to help them become successful too. So we had a host of events, but we launched our education program, which is called the Latina Power First Program, which is fundamental to our organization because it's centered around 3 key areas: developing emotional intelligence, conscious leadership, and financial mastery. And why is that important? Because those are 3 key topics to strengthen a Latina when she is walking in to ask for more money. Yes, I said ask, because the power of ask is a conversation we talk about all the time. You know, if you don't get it, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And yes, we as a community, we cannot take no for an answer, no mas. So all our training is centered around that. Once the women complete the training of the Latina Power First program, they're now eligible for our scholarship program, which is open to not just students who are high school seniors going into college students, but it's also opened up for women who are taking their MBA or who are in a doctoral program. It's also available for career-minded women who want to take training that's going to help them elevate their career, or business owners who need certifications to either start their business or, most importantly, continue to grow their business. So we're looking at the whole community and not just one part of the community. I know I shared with you earlier, I'm 58 years old, but when I was coming up, there wasn't a lot of programs available for Latinas. And I struggled finding not only other Latinas like myself in the community, but also programs and things that were available for me to help ensure my future. So this is one of the things that I wanted to make sure as we created this, that we created a platform where women knew that they can come to Power on Heels and get the support and that they need to grow. So it's just been so rewarding because through our training, like I said earlier, we had 1,200 women come through our program. We gave 11 scholarships last year, each at $1,000. We help women continue to grow their business. We help Latinas start a business. We made sure that students continue their education. We also provided laptops through a donation through somebody in the community who felt what we were doing was valuable. And he helped us provide laptops for the young girls who completed our training at a high school here locally in Houston. So this year we wanted to do the same thing and continue to inspire and empower women. And so COVID hit and things changed because the value of what we did as an organization was face-to-face. One of the other things that we do is we have a membership-based organization, so you can join our organization as a Power on Heels member and get additional benefits that we have, such as our mentorship circle. So we wanted to make sure that not only did you get a unique service as a member, but also part of a larger community as well. So you don't have to be a member, but we certainly want to invite you to be a member. What happened in 2019, because of the success we had there, we went into 2020 with, furiosas. We were fierce. We were ready to tackle the year and duplicate everything. And then COVID happened. So we relaunched our programming. We put everything online through Zoom, through our social media. We market all of these things on our website. But what we've been able to do is we basically created a 5-year plan for our organization. And what's happened now is we are now in that 5-year portion of our plan, because we thought we'd keep this regionally for a couple of years, locally. Then we thought region. We moved to throughout Texas and Louisiana and other parts of the country locally. And then we also thought, okay, in 5 years, we'll launch this program nationally. COVID accelerated that. And we just had our program back in July. We had over 87 women participate coast to coast, and we launched it in Latin America or internationally. We had 4 women who participated from Mexico. So we were super excited just seeing the reaction that we had from the local market, our regional market, our national market. And then when we had women tell us, oh, I'm coming in from Monterrey, Mexico, or I'm coming from a different part of Mexico, it excited us. So we're really making a difference. We're impacting. But I think what's most important is how women feel. They feel like they belong to something. These are professional women, highly educated women, highly influential women in corporate spaces, at university levels. They're doctoral students. These women are high school students who are getting ready to be high school seniors. You would just be surprised what's happening. And most importantly, they just feel like they belong. And in this time of COVID, where there's such a disconnect in our community and we're disconnected from our family, it was so wonderful that we created a platform where people want to be part of. So how did we know? But I think the blessings are that even, my grandmother used to say this, even when you get lemon, you can squeeze it and make lemon juice. You have to find sugar to make it taste good. And so I think we found the sugar to make our lemons taste good. So I'm super excited where Power on Heels has moved in such a quick time, and in a timely space to provide something that Latinas really need. And that is, they feel like they belong to something that really is going to make a difference in their lives and in their careers and in their futures.
How were you able to create this platform online? And how many events a month or meetings is it that you're having on a monthly or a weekly to be able to provide your program and services to all these incredible Latinas?
So the first thing we do is we create awareness. What's impacting Latinas the most? And since our social injustice, the social justice that we are really trying to highlight is just how gender pay gap inequity is impacting the lives of Latinas. And if we can help Latinas make more money, we also change their family situation, the next generation, and the communities that they support. So when we provide information, this is not This is not information I believe is out there. There is data, all right? And so we put that data in front of people. And when you have facts to share with people, they can really see the depths of the inequity that's taking place. So we create awareness first, right? With the awareness, then we create programming on how do we overcome that? How do we minimize it? How do we make you stronger to overcome this information? So all our training, all our events, we try to do something once a month, is centered around minimizing the impact of gender pay gap inequity through information, through data, but most importantly, sharing skills, herramientas, tools that they need to become more powerful and more successful.
Latinas make 59 cents of every dollar, and it varies also per state.
It's going to take a woman of color, of African American descent, or Latina over 100 years, 100, that's a century, to basically get to the same space in terms of pay equity as a white male doing the same job at the same company under the same conditions. It's going to take 100 years for her to achieve the same equity and pay. That's not my statistics. That's the statistic of the Department of Labor. Yes. That is sad. And Latinas, if you're listening, you have to become aware of your state laws. I mean, there's a state law now where in 19 states that you cannot be asked during the interview process your pay salary history of your previous jobs. Why? Because they use that against you. Because current market may be 80,000 or 100,000, but in your previous employer, he only paid you 60. So if you took 60, if you accepted 60 as your salary, and now you're applying for a new job, guess what? They're going to offer you 70, and you're going to be really happy, right? But guess what? General market is making 80 to 100,000. So you have to know where you stand with your industry, your experience when it comes to money. That's the kind of awareness that we have. And it's out there. You just have to go to salary.com and find that information. You will be surprised how underpaid you are, amiga. Trust me, you will be surprised. And then you will get mad.
It's normal. We need to get mad in order to make
That's the first emotion. That's the first emotion. But I think what's most important is that we create this awareness. This is really something that's inflicting us. Because you know what? Something in our communities, we talk about the lack of money. Mm-hmm. We talk about how we can't do something. I knew growing up, no se puede. No hay dinero, no hay chavo, and we can't do that. And it's like we always talk about the lack of money, but we don't talk about how do we invest, how do we grow, how do we ask for money, right? And then there's some kind of shame, da vergüenza, ay, me da pena. We got to get over that because guess what? Our silence is being used against us. And it's impacting our pocketbook and our bank accounts. And Latinas, when most households are run by single mothers, right? And they're taking care of not only one, not two, but up to 3 generations. We have to maximize our earning potential. So this is what Power on Heels does. We support women, we motivate them, we create greater awareness, but we give them tools so they can go out and fight that fight. And overcome gender pay gap inequity.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ivette. It is a pleasure to have you, and we hope to see you soon at Bellas Fashionistas TV.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Everyone, she is also an author, which I had mentioned in the beginning. She has a book that she launched by the time that I met her. It is called a 30-day guide to your powerful outcomes through powerful words. Tell us very briefly what that book says. Tell us, don't give it away, but do tell us a little bit about the book.
First of all, you can find it on Amazon.com. So you can put in Ivette Mayo or the book title, A 30-Day Guide to Your Powerful Outcomes Through Powerful Words, and you should find it. But really, it's about us, mujer latina. Tú eres poderosa. But we defer our power way too much for the roles and the responsibilities in our lives. We do it each and every day, and we do it with little things, but we end up doing it for the larger things. And it gets to a point where you don't even know your own self-truth. You don't know what's important to you. You defer your power each and every day. So the book is walking you through a 30-day mantra on how to reaffirm yourself. What do you believe about yourself and how you're going to affirm that? And most importantly, how do you create that belief? Because if we change how we believe, how we feel, we also change what we say, but ultimately what we do. And my goal is to make you not only successful, but powerful. And so that's what the book walks you through. It's available on Amazon.com and Kindle. And there is a Kindle version in Spanish for you if you want to share that with your friends or your tia or your abuelita or your mommy, because guess what? It's never too late to become powerful.
For more information on Power on Heels Fund, where can you be contacted?
Please visit on our website at poweronheelsfund.org. All the information you need there. Also check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram under Power on Heels Fund or Power Heels F. You'll see it there. But if you go to our website, you'll find everything you need. We'll connect you there. And our next event is Hispanic Heritage. Latina Equal Pay Day is October 29th. So we really need to bring awareness to it. And then our conference is in November 13th, where we have our phenomenal speakers and we give away our annual scholarships this year. So we have a lot of things ahead. So please join us.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Be sure to follow us on social media at Bellas Fashionistas TV and our media partner at BronxNet TV. To watch more of our programming, please visit our websites at bellasfashionistas.com and our media partner at bronxnet.org. Please be safe. Have a great day.